name is Jay Martin. Thanks for watching. This is a 4v4 game on the Waterloo map, and I just have a ton of notes of things I want to get to in this game. The first thing is our team for this game. I'm on the far left. I'm playing as France. My name is Jay Martin. That's SK Marsh. That's Riscard. And on the right, as the Ottomans, is Z Bishop. And we played 2 games on Waterloo. Riscard actually put the first game up on his channel. This is the second game we played in the same afternoon. And we made a couple adjustments to our strategy after the first game that Riscard showed you. The first adjustment that we made is Z Bishop is actually smarter than the rest of us, and we realized that we had had a hell of a time taking those fucking houses, and so Z actually brings some Ottoman melee troops to attack the houses with, which I thought was a big improvement to our strategy. And then I'm going to try to get you a look at it here, but I actually brought some grenadiers. See those grenadiers right there? I brought those grenadiers for the sole purpose of attacking the houses. So that's kind of what we're doing, but we're going to do the same thing that we did in the last battle, etc. Our opponents for this game on the left is Tavington, same position he played in the last game. That's Aramis. This is C. James, and as pressures Batavi. These guys put up a heck of a defense. We actually had talked about this. We were talking about this while the game was going on, and a couple people floated the idea that the defense on Waterloo is actually harder than the attack. Karlov was like the one making this argument, and I find that hard to believe. That defending on this map is harder than attacking, but I guess I don't really know. Something I should add, that this kind of renaissance that I'm having with the game, I'm playing on all these interesting terrain maps I've never really played before. I've never really played Waterloo that much before. So, in like the Arcalay battle I featured with you last week, this is all kind of new shit to me. But I'm learning. Maybe the defense is harder. I don't really know. The thing I want to point out to you in the background, you can see their rightmost player, the Prussian player Batavi, he's actually moving his army to reinforce all across the line. When we were setting up this game, I thought, dude, should we play this on medium fun settings? It seems like this map is just too small for all the units. And I think Riss mentioned that in his video too, but we played on large settings. And this team really had their shit together. Tavington right here made some adjustments to the army build that he brought as opposed to the previous game, and he brought a much better build. He doesn't bring any light infantry this time. I learned a few tricks from SK from the previous game, which is relevant because we actually are swapping positions. I'm playing in the position he played in the previous game. He's playing in the position I played in the previous game. And then obviously with Z and the melee infantry that we're going to use for the houses later. But anyway, I think this is a really interesting map, but maybe better on medium settings. I'm not really sure. It just seems to me like there are too many units on the field for a field that is this small. But you know, debate amongst yourselves. Another thing I wanted to make a little note at is when I put up the Arcalay game that was over an hour long, a bunch of people told me that I should just edit for time and cut a bunch of bits out. And I'm not going to do that. And here's my argument, okay, everybody. Here's where I'm coming from. I really hate it, and something I hate about a lot of the more popular, like YouTube commentators who get more hits, and I don't fucking care about hits. I really just make videos for my friends to watch. But one thing I really hate is they do a lot of zoom in shit, and like they have to edit for time. And the reason, the effect of that is that you can't follow the actual course of the battle. I don't like editing for time. I don't like cutting snippets out of the battle out, because it means that you can't follow what happened. You can't follow this maneuver here that resulted in this, which resulted in that. I like being able to follow. I fundamentally interpret YouTube commentary videos on Napoleon Total War as learning tools, and you can't learn anything from them if we cut bits of the battle out. Okay, so I am going to stay and fast forward the whole game to try to make it manageable, but I want you to be able to watch the entire battle without any time cuts, because if there's time cuts, then you're going to miss theoretically important maneuvers maneuver bits of the game. And the whole reason we watch these is, to get educated about how to get better at playing the game. We watch them because they're entertaining as well, but they're entertaining because we just like the game. You know what I mean? So I'm going to adopt kind of the Ken Burns style of documentary filmmaking, which you make like super long videos, but you get to see everything. I want you to see everything that goes on. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm not going to edit. All right. And before I get into the micro commentary of the tactical action, I want to say, Z Bishop, it's good to see your ass back in the game, baby. I know you're watching this shit, and you know I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you right now. So it's good to see my boy Z back up at the game. All right, here we go. This battlefield is really small. And my camera's going to jerk a bit. You can really divide our army into two halves. The right side of our army is Riscard is France and Z is Ottomans. They're just starting a general light engagement up on their side. However, the real trick, I'm told, to fighting on the Waterloo map is to advance up the left. Advancing up the left on Waterloo is your best option. You can see me advancing right there. We have a great melee force put together. I have 2 grenadiers, and Z has a couple janissaries ready to assault that fucking house, and SK has 3 old guard reserved for assaulting that house right there. Hougemont, I believe it's called. Now, I also have 3 old guard in reserve on my own that I'm waiting to assault a house further down the road. So the idea for us right now is that I'm going to put 2 grenadiers, SK is going to put 3 old guard, and Z is going to put 2 janissaries into assaulting that house. In the meantime, my big goal strategically is to advance right through this area right here. See this area right here between the ridge and the house? I have to break them right there. Now, their team is actually putting up a pretty goddamn good defense because the Prussian player has walked from all the way over to the other side of the map, and he's got a bunch of foot guards sitting behind there. So not only do I have to fight through fucking Tavington, who is pretty good at Napoleon himself, he's an huntsman, but I'm going to have to fight through all those fucking Prussian foot guards too. Okay, now I have a couple micro tips that I'm going to give you about how I pulled that off. Now here comes a big melee assault in there. Those are old guard with like 4 fucking chevrons. SK Marsh, take it from me, SK Marsh does not fuck around. When he wants a house, he's going to take the house. Now, over on the right side, Z and Riss are, again, going to be really patient, and all they're trying to do is to win a light infantry fight and just kind of keep them busy. But the real meat of any assault on Waterloo is going to go up the left, and if these guys are successful, as Riscard said in his video on the same map, they will, whittle these guys down, and eventually we'll be able to maybe drive a wedge between these 2 houses here. So we kind of have 2 angles of attack. The first is a direct assault up the left, and then kind of an indirect assault in the middle to weaken them here. And that's kind of what we're working on right now. So, right now, SK has got a bunch of guys in the house, and we're fighting for the house on the left. Let me clue you into what I'm trying to do. A big cav. They send a bunch of cav through at this point. Look at this. This is disastrous. So maybe I should come back to this in a minute. But I want to show you some things that I'm doing to try to earn this flank right here. I want to note real quick that the Prussian player Badavi it really played great. Like, I tried to do some really tricky things to get him to shoot in the dirt, and he had really good discipline. He kept fire at will off when he didn't need it on. I thought that player was frankly quite good, and I was actually really impressed by the quality of play from everybody on the defense. I thought C. James, who I don't know who that is, but I thought he put up a really good game, honestly, and I thought these guys were all really, really strong players. And maybe Karlov is right. I mean, maybe the defense on this map is harder. I don't know. I do know a couple facts that when we were playing this game, that the 4 of us on the attacking team were able to talk to each other, so we had better team coordination. I don't know how much that's worth, maybe a lot, but I thought the defending team in this game played really good, sort of as individuals. I thought they're pretty high-end players, and it was neat to get a game in with them. Again, light infantry skirmish going on the left. Okay, so I think that I've killed the cav now, and I can show you some. No, the fucking cav is still going. Um, uh, Melee charge from a guard unit there. You know, honestly, nothing really that interesting happens for a while, for a few minutes. I might just let you watch the action while this is going on. Not much going on. Yeah, not that much interesting. Not that much interesting. What winds up happening is SK goes into this house here with the street old guard, and Z sends in a couple Janissaries, and I wind up saving my grenadiers for later in the battle. They're gonna make an appearance uh, sometime down the road here, but we wind up saving them for later. I really gotta say that. Um, Z's choice of Ottomans was just fucking brilliant for the work you got to do here. It seems like half of this game is assaulting the houses, and his interest in bringing the Ottomans was actually quite smart. I felt that we learned a lot in between the first Waterloo game that we played on Riskard's channel and then the second one that we played immediately after, which is right here. I am really enjoying, as a side note, not that you give a fuck, but I'm really enjoying the kind of renaissance I'm having with the game of just playing the terrain maps and but playing them in big fashion like 3v4 or 4v4. I'm really enjoying um, what I'm getting, the experience that I'm getting out of them. It's really neat. Just A, to get a team together and play with them, but then B, it's just a really kind of neat way to play the game. This is what I'm gonna comment on for what I do, and I can comment more intelligently on that than because I was doing it. But what I do is I just run units up like this in column, and a little trick I want to show you is that when you're fighting up an elevation like this, you actually have an advantage. Let me try to give you this. Because you see, this unit right here is able to shoot at that enemy over the heads of the unit in front. And generally we think that being on top of the hill is good, but in Napoleon Total War, a lot of times being on the bottom of the hill is good, actually, because what it lets me do is it lets me double the firepower because that unit can shoot, and then this unit can also shoot over their heads, but they only have one unit that can shoot. So all that I do in this game, really, is keep running line units up. No, I'm going to take horrific casualties, that is a fact, but I'm going to honestly deal more casualties against them than they're going to deal to me. And you can see that I've already killed Tavington's first line, so the Prussian guy is having to come up, and I'm just running more and more infantry up there. So but all that I do in this game, and I don't do anything really that intelligent, but I just continually run more and more infantry units up to get shots up the elevation. And I had done the same thing. Tavington had a unit placed over there, and these units were all shooting at him. And over, I just do that same thing, shooting up the ridge. And I think actually I get a firepower advantage on them. Okay, so back over here, this is kind of an awkward map. This is C. James. He's actually making a pretty good move, but he's actually kind of trying to counterattack and moving some of his infantry down. This was honestly a really, really good move from him. And it caught Z a little unprepared. We weren't really sure what to do with this. Like, you would think that maybe Z would be moving some infantry, but Z's pretty confident he can handle it with what he has. But I thought that this little I had a little note here to mention this little counterattack option from C. James. I thought was a really, really good idea, and he almost caught our boys with some problems. And then he wisely retreats. You know, like, you have to do that. You have to advance and retreat. You know, if you don't have an advantage, then pull back. But you got to try. You know, you got to try. And in the center of the map, we obviously have just kind of a light fight. I think this is Riss's lights. SK and I did not bring light infantry. We had 0 light infantry on this end of the map for this. So what Riss and Z are trying to do with their lights is just kind of keep these guys busy, keep them entertained, and pin down as many forces as possible. And really, that's a big picture strategic moment, because what it lets me do is, although the Prussian player did come all the way over and is investing most of their army here, what it lets me do is I've already put Tavington through the meat grinder. Like, Tavington's French army is pretty much gone, and now I'm just fighting the French player here. But because I'm getting that firepower advantage from that redundant rank tactic that I just told you about, what I'm able to do is I just grind through Tavington's army, and now I'm grinding through the Prussians' army, and it's not pretty, but I'm getting more casualties than I'm taking losses, and in the meantime, Riss and Z are just holding these guys down, and look at that huge, massive units that they are holding back. And in a minute, if we can get up the ridge here, then we can start to flank them. Like, look at that. Tav puts one of his units up there, and I just, move my old guard to shoot up, and I've got a whole bunch of units putting redundant fire in all of these units. That's all I do. And if that's the case, if your opponent is able to do that, I think maybe Karlov is right. Like, maybe the defense is harder. I don't know. I've never played the defending side of the Waterloo map. Literally, every time I've played it, I've been the attacker. So I don't really know what you do if you are the defender. But it seems like these guys did the right thing. I don't know. In the background, you can see, look at all those Prussian lights are coming back. So what winds up happening is the entire Prussian army comes to this section of the battlefield, which is really bad for SKNI because that's where we are. The good news is that it should buy a bunch of forces off from Riss and Z, and so we should be able to count on them making some substantial gains. The problem we have, though, is that these Prussian lights right here, those are a real bitch. Like, these are really good units. They can really deal out casualties. So what kind of winds up happening is SK and I win the ridge. I'll get to that in a minute, but we're going to wind up winning the ridge, but then we're going to hide behind the ridge because we honestly don't want to fight all of those lights is what we're going to do. So we weren't really sure what to do with ourselves. There is a general attrition game. You can see one of Riss's lights are routing away right there. These guys are just trading fire on this flank. There's just so many fucking units. You have to be really careful right here about your unit positioning, because you want to stay out of range of most of them, but you want to be able to shoot the units that you want to shoot. It's kind of a grind. These games, actually we played 2 of these games in a row, like I mentioned. And after them, pretty much all 4 of us were like, fuck it, I gotta go, man. I gotta go chill out. I gotta go take a bath or something. I gotta clear my head, because these games are like mentally exhausting in a way. They're just totally mentally exhausting. A development has occurred here. This is when they can see the ridge to us, and you can see that the Prussian player has retreated back there to the ridge, and what happens is that SK and I start moving up, and you can notice we're being really clever. We're staying just below the cusp of the ridge right there because we don't want to get shot at, and we have won the house as well. That is just a impressive display of French melee attack right there. And so what's going to happen is SK and I are going to redeploy right here. He's going to come out of the house, and we're going to redeploy all of our forces right here. But right now we have a problem because we're facing a really badass-looking Prussian army, frankly, and none of us want to walk into the line of fire those 5 lights are going to give us. So we have to take a moment to think about what we want to do. The boys over here are doing pretty well, and they're still doing their melee thing. We're moving some more guys over. We have a couple good things going for us. I still have my 2 grenadiers that I'm going to be able to use to... Oh, no, wait, shit! I forgot! No, okay, I lied. That was somebody... Okay, never mind. I take it back. Okay, once again, this is me and SK. We're redeploying. We're just below the cusp of the ridge. Our two armies are here to make a movement against these guys here, and um, Z and Riss are kind of facing off against these this opponent on this side, and Z started to make this move. Z really on his flank, he brought just an awesome army because I don't know if you played this map before, but if you haven't, if you're the far side player in the 4v4, you can't walk up this ridge right here. There's nothing for you to do, so really there isn't a whole lot for Z to do in this game, but bring some melee guys to assault houses with. And so Z's super smart, and he just kind of figured out the proper role for his army and then the proper build that he should bring for that army. And that really helped our team out in this instance. Again, we have a clustering of forces, and what was happening right here is SK and I were arguing with each other over who was going to be the meat shield. And SK kept saying, "No, I'll be the meat shield," and I said, "No, fuck you, SK, I'm going to be the meat shield." And we went back and forth, and this who's going to be the meat shield issue over and over and over, and which is just a sign of great teamwork. And so right now, what's going on while we were talking is this is SK and I arguing over who's going to be the meat shield for this assault right here. Whatever. The boys in blue on the right side are still getting their fight on, and they're trying to chase the GB and the Austrian player away from that house right there. This is me making my move. So see my two grenadiers. Again, you get a biased perspective because you get this from my perspective because I actually know what I was doing. But it seemed to me that right now, if you look at it right now, these are Riskard's guys. It looks like my two grenadiers have a pretty clean line of entry into this house right here. So I was kind of thinking that, hell, if we're going to go, let's go right now. So that's me moving my two grenadiers into position to go get that house. That's what I was thinking, and Riskard's kind of buying me the flank, but Riskard's really buying the flank with blood because you can see that he's getting shot right there, but he's got his unit up on the hill right there, what Riskard's trying to do right now is drive that wedge issue. If we can isolate. What he's trying to do from big picture is if he can cut off this unit here, then we can drive a wedge in between the two halves of their army, and that'll let us surround them at a later date. It looks like SK and I are getting ready to make our move. There goes, I think I actually won the debate, and I actually convinced him to let me be the meat shield, and I run in. This fucking Prussian guy was a cool customer. This was one cool customer, Badavi. He had fire at will turned off. He clicked it right on at the right moment, and just a really cool customer. This is SK and I making a mad dash up on the flank right here. This is actually kind of interesting. This is a really good example of how to assault a position where you are outgunned. And we move our units in there. Oh, note my grenadiers on the right in the house. Nice work, Jay. But anyway, this is a really good example of, see, I think that's SK's unit that routes first, but we're both just going to take horrific casualties moving up this hill, but we kind of have to do it. You can see SK is making a really aggressive motion on the right side to try to get a flanking position, even in spite of those Austrian Grenzers, and we just have to get up the hill and soak up damage. Honestly, that is what we are doing right now, and it only worked because we both went together. SK and I had really good coordination on this assault. I think this is an assault that if you did try to do it by yourself, you would obviously lose. And there goes another one of our units. I mean, we take a beating right here. Riskard's Cav does come in to save the day. And really just by the coordination of all three players, SK and I with the infantry and Risk bringing in the Cav, that's the only way this assault worked, because I want to say that assaulting over the ridge is really more daunting than assaulting to the ridge in a way, and I was really proud of that assault that SK and I put together. Okay, so now that we have engaged in the house, Those are my grenadiers and Riskard's infantry, and Z is moving up this direction. What we've been able to do is pierce their lines, and we've essentially, let me try to zoom out for you, we've isolated this section of their army and then this section of their army. That's really good for us because Z has a ton of infantry that he hasn't used yet. If he can wrap them around, and we do win the house right there. So we have won all three houses now, and we are convincingly up on the ridge. The only question is, well, this isn't much of a question, I want to say, because I think that given enough time that Z Bishop will be able to surround and destroy the Austrian player, who is putting up a masterful defense, by the way. He's being left on his own. Like, that Prussian player should be all right over on his flank, backing this guy up. The poor Austrian guy, got lost. And then the other issue is on this flank here, we've done a pretty good job assaulting. And this is a combination of my infantry, SK's infantry, Riskard's infantry, and Riskard's cav. We've put together a pretty good assault. We've forced the Prussian player to retreat, and now we're just kind of moving up to be able to, surround and destroy him. And this is a pretty close fight. That Prussian player has a ton of guns left that he can shoot and a ton of fire that he can put down. And actually, this dude causes us a fuckload of problems because he's got pretty good micro in addition to his big picture issues that he was thinking about. So this is a kind of a generic assault that we're putting up against the Prussian player that is kind of wishy-washy, but whatever. Oh, he's got his cab there. So back over to this point, the Austrian player is kind of pulling back away from that house and is kind of retreated on a new line there. This is going to let Z is finally advanced past that bizarre ridge line, and we got the Austrian player right there. The Austrian player is all game, man. This guy advances and tries to counterattack. Z's gonna have to kite him a little bit. We're gonna get this guy surrounded. So in the big picture, the Austrian guy was kind of facing a losing battle here, but he was doing the right thing for his team. When you play a team game, you want to maximize either time to buy your partners time to win on their flank, or you want to maximize damage to the opponent's army. And this guy, C. James here, did a really good job of that. And it's almost worth reloading this replay to watch from the other perspective. I'm obviously telling it from the perspective that I played on it. But I thought this guy, C. James, did a really great job of just trying to maximize value for his units. And that is the name of the game. That is the name of the game. Oh, this is the far rear of the map, and this guy Aramis had put 2 foot guards and a rifle in this house from the beginning of the game. They've been sitting there from the beginning of the game. It's not really relevant. Okay, this is our assault back on the Prussian, and I believe that we've tried to assault the Prussian several times now, and he's been causing us a whole lot of problems. Like, I'm having to hide in a ditch, and that's a militia unit that I'm moving up to try to get fire on. What winds up saving the day here is that Riskard shows up on the flank of this force, and instead of having to frontally assault them, which is what we were trying to do previously, we wind up just kind of flanking them. And I think Z is going to get this guy's general here. So this is the last look at the engagement on the left that started way back here, trying to work up this flank where Tavington was and the Prussian guy was. This is the result of that part of the battle. We've got these units pushed off the ridge, and we've got them surrounded. And just by, some clever teamwork, again, this is SK, mine, and Riss's units all working together to get this Prussian player. And the Prussian player does pretty damn good. He's going to make us hurt, but we are going to be able to kill that Prussian player. Okay, so back over to this side, or the right side of the battle. This is where it's more interesting right now. This is pretty much Z with a little bit of help from Riss trying to kill the Austrian player. it's not going to go very well for us because that Austrian player has a fair amount of units left, and they're all pretty good units. So there's a little bit of wishy-washy right now. I think both teams are trying to wait to figure out what's going to happen on that other flank over there. Like, if the defenders win that flank over there, then they have new life and they're reinvigorated. I gotta tell you, what really would have helped right now, if this fucking if these two foot guard units were out of the house and shooting on our flank right now, this team might have won. Okay? This team might have won. If these 3 units come out of the fucking house, you might win. Okay? I talk a lot. The previous video I posted was about how attacking is important, and you have to use your units at a time when they're relevant. These units sitting in the house right here are not doing shit. And if you had deployed them at a time in the battle where they were relevant, you would have really helped your team out. Like, those 3 units might have turned the course of the battle. You never know. But what you're forcing is poor C. James here to get in and do his thing by himself. And he's doing a great job. This guy gets max value for his units. But if these units had showed up 10 minutes earlier, y'all might have won. Because we don't have that much left. Like, we've killed the Prussian player now, and so we're up moving everybody we got left over. But you don't have much left. If those units had shown up at the critical part of the battle, attacking, the critical part, the critical lesson is you have to deploy maximum force at the right time. And the right time is essentially early, right? Saving isolated groups of units don't do shit. A large group of units can do some impressive things. Like, I don't know, there's some kind of line. It's like the advantage of, 1 man facing 10 man is not just 1 to 10, it's 1 to 100. Right? The force multipliers act in a non-linear fashion. You need more men shooting at a given point of the battle, and they will route units quickly and quickly. So don't think of the amount of units as a linear expression. If I can put 3 units shooting at your 1 unit, that's greater than 3 to 1. That's like 9 to 1. Because I'm going to route your 1 unit really fast, and then I'm going to turn 4 units against 1. And then I'm going to turn 5 units against 1. So yeah, if you have units, you need to use them, and you need to use them well. Okay? So and use them fast. You got to use them. And this is kind of the end of the Austrian player, C. James right there. He's retreating in the house, which I respect. My Grenadiers are still going. They're going to go into that house, and actually they're going to lose to a Slandware, to be totally honest. But that's what we're doing. And then the other thing we have to do is we have to assault these units here in the house. I think that's Riss, who's just kind of shooting them up a little bit. These units are either out of ammo or they're not shooting for some reason. Oh, these units are down. They're down to like 40 men each. So these units were involved earlier in the battle, and they just kind of took refuge in the house there, so they might have been out of bullets. That might be a good explanation. But I gotta think that if you have a couple foot guards, put them out there earlier, man. Make them work. Make your units work. And coming up is going to be sort of the final assault. We're taking this, or Z is taking this house right here, to be totally frank. I think we make a point to chase down that general right there. And the rest of our team arrives at this final barn or farmhouse right there. And I don't remember who goes in first. It's either SK or me. I don't remember who goes in first, so I don't know who gets the glory, but we go in there to attack that farmhouse, and I think we're going to win, actually. Oh, I think those are mostly SK's units, because I seem to, or maybe Risk Guards. They were not me. How about that? They were not me. Because I remember giving the Inspire, the rally bonus to units that did not belong to me. But I got a really great rally out of that. I got like 12 units. And Z still has his own melee units that he's going to work. And there goes another rally right there. So. And yeah, and then there's the win. And all that's left, let me give you one last look at the enemy general unit right there. So, hey, this is a really fun game. Waterloo, kind of interesting map. And I want to thank you for watching. Um, I had a great time playing this game. Our opponents are really classy, and we had a great time playing with them. And there are the kill death totals. Again, thanks for watching, everybody, and I will check you in the next video.